Hey, wellness friends. This is Dr. Cheryl, and I am your host of the Wellness Table podcast. And I wanted to start today with just a little bit about me for those of you that might be new to the Wellness Table podcast. I'm a doctor of clinical nutrition and a registered dietitian who believes in wellness one delicious bite at a time. I'm also a cookbook author. Before I did my doctorate, I have 4 books that I authored, and they're under my name as Dr. Cheryl Thomas Peters. But More Choices, Eat Well, Live Well, and Choice of Quick and Healthy Cooking are 2 of the latest ones. And I just wanted to put that out there so that you can be assured that food has to taste good to pass my test. So I started out being very passionate about food and about wellness one delicious bite at a time. Yummy, healthy food, creating recipes, making meals for my family and friends. That's my personal love language. And so I want to start with that, just so you know a little bit about me. If you haven't seen Dr. Cheryl Wellness, if you haven't seen our website that talks about it, but I wanted to introduce that a little bit. If you're new to the Wellness Table podcast, which is a new podcast, and so most of you are going to be new, and just talking a little bit about, I'm not going to ask you to give up your favorite foods. I really believe that food is medicine, but I'm not into restrictive diets. I'm not asking you to give up everything that you love. There's got to be a better way. And I have spent my lifetime in exploring the science. What's the best way to be as healthy and transform our life, but then apply it to my passion of making food that is medicine, and it's also delicious and craveable. And it's something that is healing our body, but we don't give up the love and our favorite foods. And we can actually find recipes and meals that we crave, and I kind of look at them as they become part of our favorite recipe box, or our favorite breakfast, favorite lunch, favorite dinner. So that's just a little bit about me. And I am the host of the Wellness Table podcast. I am the creator of the Dr. Cheryl Wellness program, and it's a website, drcherylwellness.com. And you will see that's where I have all of my free resources. My heart was all about everyone everywhere deserved expert, trusted source for nutrition and wellness, and also healthy, yummy recipes. So that all comes together in the drcherylwellness.com at our site. That's essentially our virtual clinic and program. So we can reach everyone everywhere globally. I'm also the founder of the Take 10 program, and this is a 10-day wellness retreat that my late spouse and I ran for 10 years, where thousands of people experienced health transformation by making simple lifestyle choices and eating really delicious food. And that was a very learning time for me, as I began to see that here was the science. I had all of, okay, if we do this, if we eat this way, if we do these things at every single meal, we can see optimal health. And then I began to see thousands of people's taste buds and comments like, I can't eat another salad. I found that some people really don't like to chew. Some people really like softer foods, different textures, all make a really big difference. Taste, culture, spicy, not spicy. So I learned a lot about what people love, and to see that we have to meet everyone where they are, or they're not going to be able to stay with this health as a lifestyle, where it's like, these are the foods, and I can just say, here's the 30 meals. You can do this for 30 days and your health will be transformed. But I quickly saw that each person needed those recipes adjusted a bit for them, just for their taste buds and also some of their health goals. So that's a little bit about my journey. Again, my mission with Dr. Cheryl Wellness was to bring all of the experiences of my life, from my doctoral work, being a registered dietitian and understanding the science, doing my own original research. I created a proprietary health score. I wanted to be able to put into the hands of my patients and clients and people that would never meet me a tool for other health professionals in clinical practice, a 20-point score that is the foods that you eat, your lifestyle habits, with a goal of scoring up. And so you will hear my message of let's score up this week. And that's as we increase our score, then we begin to see that our clinical risk factors begin to improve and our body weight begins to move to a healthy place. Our waist circumference begins to come to a healthy place and a healthy size as well. And also we begin to reach our health goals. And we see, which is our topic for today, is reversing insulin resistance. So the more we score up, we began to see that insulin resistance improves. So I created this score, and that is something that's also part of the Dr. Cheryl Wellness and in the membership that we also have to offer for those people that are ready for a little bit more and you really want to take this journey. I'm here to guide you as well every step of the way. So we have free resources, endless free resources, full library of recipes, nutrition and lifestyle articles. We have the Wellness Table podcast here that it's all free for you. And then we also have a really wonderful membership that is designed to be for you to be taking the journey of a Take 10, one of my Take 10 clients or patients, and the journey, the health journey that I would take you on if you're trying to improve diabetes, if you're trying to prevent having cancer, if you are we call it the worried well, like you see what your family has suffered from, if you see vascular dementia, or if you see Alzheimer's or breast cancer, and you don't want to suffer those same debilitating diseases that your family has, we can look at food and lifestyle and you can do something about it. These lifestyle related diseases are preventable or we can delay their onset. We can change genetic expression by what we eat and simple daily lifestyle habits. And I'm here to share all of those with you with Dr. Cheryl Wellness and on this podcast. So that's a little bit about me. I just wanted you a little bit about Dr. Cheryl Wellness, why I'm here, what my mission is. And I'm very food driven. So it doesn't mean that you have to start to love to cook like I do, but I want you to know how to eat. So some of you, you'll know, have the tools of how to eat. And those of you that love cooking like I do, there's something for you as well, because that's really one of the most fun parts of it. So my mission, the focus you're going to hear is score up your health by increasing your daily health score and adding more plants to your plate. These are some of the tools that we can see that creates a lifestyle that makes you as healthy as you can be. That's the power. That's the magic. And we'll have tips of that in everything that we do in all of our podcasts, our blogs, our recipes are all about that. Every week, we will feature a certain health, nutrition, and health theme, something that's from the news, something that I find has helped many, many people that went through our program or our patients. But we'll also feature a food is medicine in what do I eat and some yummy, healthy foods, something from my personal kitchen, because that's where my heart is and that's the part I love to do. And this week, I'm going to start with highlighting a yummy, healthy recipe. And I'm saying that because it's got to taste good and it has to heal your body for it to pass the test, for me to be creating it, and for it to be a part of the Dr. Cheryl Wellness. So I created a recipe this week that I think that you'll really love. And I'm actually writing it up right now. It's probably going to be posted on the site within the next week. But I wanted to create a delicious fall salad that was different from what I normally serve. My daughter had called and she was coming with her fiance, coming home for dinner. And that's my favorite time to experiment. My kids will always say, Mom, can we just have the same food again? So like for their birthday, they'll bring up like, I would love for you to make that same recipe twice. So I experiment so much with my kids that their birthday requests are to repeat something that they had loved, because they'll always be like, enjoy the meal, because that's the last time you're going to see it again, because I'm constantly experimenting. So here's my daughter coming home and I'm like, perfect time. Then her fiance that I'm testing a new recipe. I wanted a delicious, healthy fall salad. I like meal hearty salads a lot. And so for myself, that's something that I'm happy to have that as a whole meal. I found a lot of my patients in the Take 10 program did not want so many salads, and other people like myself, we thrive on them. So this is for those of you that love salads, but my goal was how can we add more plants to your meal, to your plate? And so that's my theme. Plant forward eating is optimal. And we'll talk about that throughout Dr. Cheryl Wellness. But this fall salad I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's made with a peppery flavor of arugula. And arugula is a cruciferous vegetable. So you're checkboxing. If you look at the health score that I created that's within our Dr. Cheryl membership, you can take your score and track your success. And one of the points that you get is including a cruciferous vegetable every day. And cruciferous vegetables are like in the cabbage family: broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, bok choy, and arugula and kale are also green leafy vegetables that are in that cruciferous family. So this salad has an arugula, and I'm not a big arugula fan. It's a little bitter for me, and I'm always wanting to increase it or add it into my meals and find ways to enjoy it. So that was my challenge, was to create a salad that I really, really love. There's been many in restaurants, and I'll come home and recreate these recipes. But this one is with that peppery flavored arugula. It also had crisp apples, and I did toasted pecans. So I took raw pecans. I always buy them by the bulk. I get them right from the growers off Amazon. I have a lot of resources for these kinds of things. So when I do a recipe, I'll give you the resources for where I get what I use, because I find quality ingredients make all the difference in making you look like you're a chef when you're not. It's all about quality ingredients and knowing just how to combine them. And so I took these dry or raw pecans, and I toasted them just in a dry skillet, just for a few minutes. They burn super quick. And so I just get a little bit of the aroma of the pecans. And boy, it really changes the flavor. People that think that they don't even like pecans, a toasted pecan is delicious. But you could use any kind of nut in this. This was my plant protein that I was bringing into the salad. So having a plant protein at every single meal, another checkbox. Adding nuts every single day, another point on the score. So I've got my cruciferous vegetables. I have my apples, which are rich in soluble fiber. I've got my plant protein. And then I decided I was going to use dried cranberries, didn't have any, and I had some really delicious dried cherries. And so I ended up throwing those into this salad. And then I dressed this salad. I was really wanting it to be simple, not a lot of oil, not a lot of fat, more of a simpler, lighter salad. And so I made a vibrant, really delicious lemon vinaigrette, which I'm not always a big fan of some of those lighter. I like a lot of flavor in my dressing. So I know a lot of people like that, but for me, I was looking for one that I could really had a wow factor. And so I took fresh Meyer lemons and squeezed them and added a touch of maple syrup, a little bit of white wine vinaigrette, and some pepper and some seasonings. And I tossed this all together into the salad, and had red onions and the whole recipe. I'll have it on the site for you. But it was a delicious, really satisfying, hearty. For me, I could eat it as my whole meal. But it's a perfect, light yet satisfying, plant-focused meal, plant-forward meal. You can add sides with it, add anything else. Or you can also just use this as a side salad if you just wanted to add more plants to your plate. So that was my featured recipe this week. You'll see that recipe on the site. In the membership, I also have meal planning tools, the full plate, a small plate, and also a smoothie meal. So you can see how can I build meals and food combinations that crush hunger, stop the cravings, balance blood sugar, and help me reverse insulin resistance. And so this would be, as a meal, this salad, eating enough of it would fit perfectly into the small plate meal plan. So I do try to create recipes that fit into the meal planning tools that I use. So I'm continually adding yummy and healthy recipes. So you'll see those featured each week. And I have a weekly wellness newsletter. So sign up for that newsletter. You can go to drcherylwellness.com and you'll see right across the top, if you'd like to be the latest and not miss any of the new content, any new podcasts, any of the recipes, any of the things that I'm offering as free resources, or if you're interested in more about the membership, go to Dr. Cheryl Wellness. sign up for the wellness newsletter, and you'll hear from me every single week with more of these tips. So I hope that you do that. I'm excited about building this podcast and reaching people and building a community of people that are really interested in a trusted source of health and wellness that is food forward, food focused, where we really do love delicious, healthy food, and we're not into restrictive dieting. And it's about creating a lifestyle to be as healthy as we can be. Um, so I feature that. We'll talk about that in the wellness table each week, is some recipe, some food to sort of inspire you to make something delicious this week and add more plants to your plate. And also, let's score up this week. So we've talked a little bit about each meal, or each day, I should say, adding a cruciferous vegetable. So there's something from the membership that I'm bringing into the wellness table, having a cruciferous vegetable every day, having at least 2 cups of fruits and vegetables with every single meal, adding more plants to the plate, having a plant-based protein. These are the nuts that we're using in this recipe. And there'll just be continuously more tips as we go along, and I'll apply the recipes to that formula. But one of the things that I featured this week in my member exclusive podcast that is Ask Dr. Cheryl, that's part of the membership, is I had an in-depth conversation with the members about 5 things that I want every member to understand about reversing insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and all of our lifestyle related chronic diseases that are 95% preventable. And I want to touch on some of the highlights from that podcast today and just feature a few tips for you on the wellness table to be able to take away this week. And as we look at how can we reverse insulin resistance and fight disease to live younger longer, this week would be all about the power of food as medicine and simple daily choices in reversing insulin resistance. Just a little bit about insulin resistance is it is the mother of all metabolic conditions that lead to lifestyle related diseases like diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, cancer, and so many more diseases. The clinical risk factors that we start to see rear their nasty head as we start to hit, well, it's happening younger and younger, but we really see it in the mid 40s, hitting 50, where these clinical risk factors begin to show themselves. And this will tell us that we are starting to move down a road of becoming more insulin resistant and moving towards a lifestyle that, if we don't make any changes, will be leading us to these lifestyle related diseases that none of us want to end up with, that shorten our life or take away the quality of our life. And let's look at a couple of those, some of those clinical risk factors that are symptoms that tell us that we're living a lifestyle that's leading us down a road to early onset of these diseases, these lifestyle related diseases. Number 1 is when we begin to see our waist size increase. 95% accuracy. This is the sign that you would be insulin resistant if your waist circumference, your waist size, is above 35 inches for women and above 40 inches for men. So check your waist size. That's something that you can measure and you can check on your own. When you go to your medical appointment, so many times they don't even measure fasting insulin, so we don't even know what that number is. And high blood sugar. This is another clinical risk factor. Difficulty losing weight. If you've spent, one person's just dropping weight, having no problem, even with weight gain, you're finding that you can look at food and it feels like you gain weight. It's so frustrating, and how difficult it is to lose weight. These are signs of insulin resistance, because insulin is a store fat hormone. It's in charge of balancing our blood sugar and keeping it at a safe level for our body. Because having high blood sugar, talking to someone that has diabetes, high blood sugars end us in ER and put us at very critical health risks or even death. So insulin's job is to keep and manage our blood sugar levels. So if your blood sugars, you go into your appointment and your blood sugar looks fine, and they say, oh, you have really good blood sugar levels, and they don't measure your fasting insulin, they're not recognizing that early on, it's just starting to slowly take more and more insulin to put that blood sugar into the cells. And we just count this as aging. I'm just starting to feel less energy. Boy, I'm hungry all the time. These are all signs that insulin resistance is slowly creeping into your body. And this is where we begin to see the metabolic health, our metabolic health is beginning to decline. It can happen from aging. It can happen from hormone changes. As estrogen levels, we go into menopause, we begin to see more belly weight. As men begin to lower and have less testosterone, we begin to see waist size increase. These are all rooted in insulin resistance. So, to me, if I was focusing on the root cause of disease and what is so nutrition and lifestyle related, I'm going to hang my hat on insulin resistance. So you're going to hear me talk about it over and over and over, and all the things that we do and how we live and what we eat and what our meal combinations are should all really be focused on managing blood sugar surges after meals. And not just because we have diabetes. And like we said, you could have normal blood sugar levels and have insulin resistance early on. Now, as time goes on and as you get older, you may genetically be set up to have diabetes. So 7 to 9% of the population will move into having type 2 diabetes. But the rest of the population just begins to get more overweight. As body fat increases, we just begin to become more and more insulin resistant and start to get into whatever we're genetically set to get: heart disease, vascular dementia, stroke, high blood pressure. All of these things are signs that our body is metabolically not healthy. And high blood pressure is another metabolic risk factor. High cholesterol. We want our HDL, our good cholesterol, to be high, and we want our LDL cholesterol to be lower. And that's about how much saturated fat we make. Genetically, some people just make more cholesterol in their body. Stress raises cholesterol big time outside of what we eat. So in our 20-point health score, it's so important to include lifestyle habits and having time for yourself, relaxation, all of these things, taking a walk, the things that we need to take a break, not work too much, making sure we're spending time doing things that we love. These are all part of our lifestyle because we need to manage stress in the best way we can. We need to lower triglycerides. So high triglycerides are another sign. And then elevated inflammation. We can measure inflammation in our blood work with high sensitivity C-reactive protein. We don't always get that measured as well when we do our annual exams. But checking inflammation is really important, inflammatory markers in our blood. And I find that that's something that, as a patient of mine, I like to check your fasting insulin, check your blood sugar, your hemoglobin A1C, yes, all your lipid panels and all of those things. But I like to check high sensitivity HSCRP. That's the number. And we want to bring that number down because that's a measure. If we get acutely infected, it can go up, like if you have a flu or an infection. But when that number is chronically high, it's an indicator that there is inflammation in the body, and typically it will be blood vessels where we can't see it, but we can measure it with that marker. And having increased body fat from insulin resistant can cause a chronic low-grade inflammation that can really steal a lot of our quality of life and set us up for our body just being stressed, a low amount of stress that begins to age and wear on our body. And those are the things that we want to change. And we can do that with how we eat and what our lifestyle is. The good news here is that reversing insulin resistance is 100% possible. But we have to make some daily lifestyle changes or do more of certain things, like adding more plants to our plate and scoring up our wellness. And we'll continue to talk about how we can make a lifestyle shift that helps us reverse insulin resistance and helps us to live younger, longer, and feel better every day. And so just making a few changes can make a really big difference. So let's remember, insulin resistance is the root cause of lack of energy, constant hunger, cravings, difficulty losing weight, waist size that continues to expand. All of these are leading us to getting a lifestyle chronic disease like diabetes, heart disease, stroke, the number one killers of people that can come on premature. we can either prevent these diseases, we can treat them with diet and lifestyle, and we can also delay their onset by 10 to 12 years. So that's really powerful and lengthen our lifespan by preventing and treating insulin resistance younger in our life. So we kind of hit on that a little bit earlier, but aging and hormone changes as we age all impact our metabolic health and how sensitive our body is to insulin. So let's highlight the key hormone insulin. The hormone insulin is key in driving sugar into the cell. Also, again, we talked about managing our blood sugar and making sure that our blood sugar is always at a safe range. And when the cells begin to get more resistant to the insulin, we start to use more insulin to get that sugar into the cell. And slowly over time, as we increase body fat, as we have a diet and lifestyle that isn't ideal for increasing insulin sensitivity, the cells begin to reject their fuel, which is the blood glucose. And now the blood sugars they would rise, but the insulin says, we need to store this as fat. So this excess blood sugar is now stored as fat for us to use later if there was a famine. I mean, this is what our bodies would do if it would go through phases of time without having food. This stored fat is a lifesaver. So insulin has a very important job. It also tells us that we're full. It's a hunger hormone, and it will shut off hunger when we've had enough calories. So insulin's a good thing. But what we want is we want to use as little of it as possible by how we live and what we eat. So we don't abuse it and overuse it, and our body and our cells become insulin resistant over time, leading us to all kinds of lifestyle related diseases that we keep talking about. It takes away our energy. And so when we focus on reversing insulin resistance, we can start to feel more energy. We can see our body begin to reach its ideal weight. Our waist circumference begins to get to a healthier place, all without restrictive dieting. And we begin to fight disease. We turn on our body's natural immune system, and we are set up to live younger, longer, which is the power. So let's look at a few of these powerful food as medicine and daily lifestyle choices to help us reverse insulin resistance. So today I want to highlight the power of food as medicine. And number one is adding more plants to your plate to reverse insulin resistance and fight disease to live younger, longer. So the average person eating just the general standard American diet, only about 10% of the plate is made up from whole plant foods. And the plate that I recommend flips the standard American plate, and it really focuses on being a very plant-forward plate. Doesn't mean you have to be a vegan, vegetarian, all plant-based diet. But if we can add more plants to your plate, as much as we can get you to enjoy and still love your meals, that is going to be the key to helping fight disease and reverse insulin resistance. Number two is adding more fiber to the meal, which is a natural result of whole plant foods, which is our only source of fiber in the diet, unless we're supplementing it. So this is our natural source, whole plant foods, where we increase fiber in the meal. And fiber, especially the soluble fiber, acts like a sponge to sort of absorb the blood sugar and the fluids in our meal in our stomach, and it helps to slow and delay the post-meal blood sugar spike and helps us fight and reverse insulin resistance and really makes a difference in that surge of blood sugar so that it makes it easier for an insulin-resistant body to begin to heal. So really a key thing is adding more plants to the plate to reverse insulin resistance, which is increasing fiber, especially soluble fiber at the meal. Reducing the refined sugars at the meal is number three. And that's like, let's start with sugar sweetened beverages. You might have a really great meal and you have a Sprite or a soda or apple juice. And we're looking at apple juice. It's a third to a half a cup is a serving. And I see people pour 16 ounces of 2 full cups of apple juice. And apple juice is great. I use it as a sweetener. It can be wonderful, but that is a surge of they've pulled the juice of the apple and separated it from the fiber. So now we don't have that natural sponge to be able to reduce and delay post-meal blood sugar response. So sugar soda, sugar sweetened soda, sugar sweetened beverages, some of the different drinks that we have. It can be even a coffee. If we think of a pumpkin latte, if we're in the season of fall right now, and that's a big popular beverage. But if we think about the cream and the sugar and those flavorings that you get at the coffee shop that are just essentially loaded with sugar. So we can get a lot of hidden sugar by packaged foods and beverages that we eat. A lot of our dressings, and dips and desserts really can add a pack of refined sugar into our meals. So let's watch for that refined sugar, because that's another part of making big sugar surges after meals that can be a real problem for the body and it lead to insulin resistance over time. Reducing the saturated fats at the meal, especially animal saturated fats like butter, bacon, as we begin to see sour cream, the cheeses, these types of fats, they come in our creamy dressings. They're kind of hidden. We can have this amazing salad and then throw a blue cheese dressing on it where it's like, oh boy, are there other dressings that we could look at that might give us a better benefit from a salad? A salad might not be your best choice if you're at a restaurant on the menu, depending upon what's in that salad. If there's a lot of saturated fat, it can be really deceiving just because there's lettuce in it. It may not be the best choice on that menu for you. So let's look at reducing saturated fats, because we don't think about how saturated fats can increase insulin resistance, but they do. And they have a little different effect. And we'll talk about that in different podcasts as we go along. Number 5 is, in general, looking at the entire glucose response or blood glucose response from the entire meal. And I call this the max 50. And my formula in the Take 10 program that I found it during the program actually, was really quite powerful, is looking at how would my entire meal from before the first bite, measuring blood sugar in the most insulin resistant person in the program. And then what's the blood sugar response at 1 hour and at 2 hours post meal after the fork's been put down or the spoon. And wanting a meal to not raise blood sugar more than 50 points or 50 milligrams per deciliter of blood glucose. And we were measuring that, like I said, in the most insulin resistant person in the program. And what I found was, if a meal spiked blood sugar, like most standard meals do, 100 to 150 points, I began to look at how much exercise, because exercise works like insulin. It's the natural insulin. So if you start moving, it helps insulin resistant cells drive fuel into the cell. So I looked at it like, I'll use exercise then. If the blood glucose gets up too high, let's see how much exercise does someone have to do to lower that blood sugar so it's no more than 50 points. And what I found was it was about a 45-minute jogging to lower blood glucose by 75 to 80 points after a meal. So if somebody raised their blood glucose from before the first bite to 2 hours later of 150 points, I'm trying to drop this down by, say, 70, 60, 70, 80 points, and they're having to jog for 45 minutes. And we literally would take our coaches out and move these people so that we could start helping them, because their goal were to be, some of them, to use less insulin. If they were insulin dependent or if they had type 2 diabetes, they wanted to use as much diet and lifestyle. That's what they were there for, to use the least amount of medication and use diet and lifestyle as their medicine. And so we began to show them, how much do you have to move to lower the number? So we began to see that it was impossible to move 45 minutes after every single meal. People don't have that much time. And we began to see that the magic number was 40 was my favorite meal, 40-point max increase. 50, I had to change the meal. If the meal was 40, I considered that one of my most ideal meals that I could serve in a program and get the best results. And then we did the oxygen cocktail. So number 6 is, I thought, 10-minute walk after meals, and ideally outside. We called it our oxygen cocktail. And I found that this dropped blood sugar by 20 points. This is walking and talking, walking with a friend, walking with your partner, walking with earbuds on and listening to the Wellness Table podcast. That's your time to to get more knowledge and learn more about your healthy lifestyle or more about healthy eating. Um, and this would drop the blood sugar by another 20 points. So if the meal was a maximum of 40 to 50 point increase, and we had an oxygen cocktail that was dropping another 20 points within, this is a 10-minute walk within 60 minutes or within an hour of eating, that was the magic. And that's what we found began to turn people's lives around, where we had 10 days to show people before and after that we had improved insulin resistance. And we were improving it by 30%, decreasing fasting insulin levels by 30% in just 10 days of doing these types of things, scoring up and adding more plant to the plate. And very exciting to see these formulas, and I'm here to share them all with you. But I just want you to know that you can 100% do something about insulin resistance. You're not a victim of it. Just because you're aging, your hormones are changing. You are not a victim of this. You can do something about it. We don't want to go extreme. We're not trying to ask you to give up everything that you love. And that's what Dr. Cheryl Wellness is all about. These are free resources. This podcast is free, The Wellness Table, where I'm going to continue to bring you trusted information, the latest in science, and everything about how you can reverse insulin resistance, fight disease, heal your body, and reach your personal health goals and love the journey. How can you create a lifestyle to be as healthy as you can be? So in the Dr. Cheryl Wellness program, in the Dr. Cheryl Wellness on our website, drcherylwellness.com, this is where the free resources sit. The weekly wellness newsletter. Go to the website and sign up for that newsletter so that you don't miss any of the latest free content. And every week I'll send you an email. Here's the new recipe. Here's the new podcast. Here's a new article on nutrition and wellness. Everything that you need to be well. Also, check out our daily wellness posts with Dr. Cheryl Wellness on Instagram, Facebook. We're on Threads. And this is where I'm trying to daily inspire wellness for everyone, everywhere around the world. Also, I am creating right now, and I want you to grab this guide to start thriving with 10 of the most favorite, yummy, plant-forward, healthy recipes that you can add as a side, or you can make it your entire plate. Maybe one meal a day is more plant forward. Wherever you're at in this journey, I want to help inspire you to add more plants to your plate. So I'm creating this free guide that is a printable, downloadable free guide. And you can go to the website, and when you sign up for the weekly wellness newsletter, I'll have this guide within that newsletter very soon. And that's something that I think you're going to really enjoy. So I'm working on that right now. Sign up for the newsletter and you'll be the first to find and see it when I release it. And then just so you know, if you're ready for more, if you do want to take that journey of being one of my clients in the Take 10 program, I created within the membership a digital, one-of-a-kind program that was very much like you're taking the health journey of one of my clients. And this is where I have the tracking of the health score, your wellness check-in, creating your goals. It's all for you, handing you the tools so that you have the right dose. What's the lifestyle that you can create for yourself? I'm creating new membership content all the time, an exclusive member podcast, the Ask Dr. Cheryl. There's a forum in there so that you can ask all of your questions. I'm there to guide you every step of the way. But it's a really exciting digital program that's in the membership. Also in the membership, you'll have full access to the full library of all of my recipes that can help you reverse insulin resistance, tips to start adding more plants to your plate, also my meal planning methods. All of those things are in the membership for you to really take that journey. There's a masterclass in there that's all the foundation of what we offered in the program. Also, pantry tips, kitchen, what's my favorite appliances, all of those things are in the membership. Also, people always ask me, where do I get my protein when I'm on a more plant-forward meal? And all of those tools, questions, those are in the membership, in the articles that are within the membership, and the tools in the membership and the masterclass. Fruits and vegetable planner, full access, like I said, to all of the recipes, the podcast, and the forum. And then again, there is the digital program, so you can actually start your own journey and using the proven strategies that changed and transformed thousands of lives that came through the Take 10 program. I wanted something that was affordable, accessible. This is a very affordable membership that is for everyone. And then within the membership, I'm really excited because I have a scholarship, a needs-based scholarship. So every time a person joins as a member paying the monthly membership, which is $37 a month, it's a very affordable membership. But every one of those memberships also goes to sponsor a need-based subscription or a membership to someone that cannot afford to have a membership. So just know when you're buying or getting a membership, you're helping another person have a free membership that is need-based. So it's exciting. Let's recap here. We can quickly see insulin resistance reverse, and your health transform in just 10 days. You'll see your waist size begin to drop. And that's the sign that it's the proof that you're reversing insulin resistance and you're improving your overall metabolic health. Now you're fighting disease at its best level, all by your lifestyle, the diet, the food you eat, and the lifestyle choices that you're making. It's really powerful, and we're here to be with you and guide you in that journey. You'll have the proof. That's what I like, is that I don't want to have to keep going back and checking a blood level. I don't have to keep going back and asking, am I okay? What does this look like? You don't have to, you don't know from your scale all of your health condition. So we've talked about how you can start to see the waist size change, and you'll begin to reach your health goals. And again, here's the summary, is you'll start to see your clinical risk factors improve as you score up your health, as you get in this 20-point score up to 18 plus out of 20 every single day. That's a healthy lifestyle that will transform your health. And adding more plants to your plate and the meal combinations so that you're crushing hunger, we're not surging blood sugar, and we're able to improve and reverse insulin sensitivity. This is the key. So let's get started transforming our health and wellness one delicious bite at a time. I hope some of these tips helped you this week. Welcome to Wellness. This is the Wellness Table podcast. I love to answer any questions that you have. I'd love, if you're interested in the membership, to see you on the inside. Check out drcherylwellness.com and sign up for our weekly wellness newsletter. And I hope you have a great week. Score up your health, and let's add more plants to our plate. Have a great week.